May I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. Bass in your face. Bass in your face.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with the channel or are watching this channel for the first time, the reason why it is called Uncommon Sense, because here on this platform, we talk about everyday issues where we try to find logical solutions, but not everyone uses logic. So for that reason, it is called Uncommon Sense. I also have another YouTube channel called Latina Diaspora, where I discuss issues pertaining to Latinos residing in the United States. The link is in the description. I want to let everybody know that I'm currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, the subscriber mode has been enabled for the first 5 minutes. Meaning, if you're not a subscriber and if you wish to enter a comment in the chat, you will need to subscribe to the channel. Okay. Now, I don't anticipate a lot of people watching this live now because we do have other YouTube creators that are currently conducting streams at this point. Most likely people are going to watch this in the playback. Nevertheless, the show must go on. You will also see in the description links to Dreaming of Reality's new YouTube channel, of which she creates content pertaining to mixed race issues and other concerns that she'll have. Also, starting this week, I'll be including in the description the link to Gigi's channel, okay, which she also discusses issues regarding biracial topics. So the link to those channels are in the description. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to all those who have already subscribed to the channel. Whether you've been a supporter from the very beginning or just recently joined, I really appreciate your ongoing support. I also want to give a huge shout out to all those who follow me on social media, particularly Instagram and TikTok. Your support really touches my heart. I also want to give a huge shout out to all those who allow me to enter into your devices and those who watch from the clouds, even the haters. So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you have not done so already, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, like, and set the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on a playback. So as you can see by the thumbnail, tonight's discussion will be how to deal with disappointment. These are things that happen in our everyday lives due to multiple reasons. What I'm going to do is, in a few minutes, I'm going to start the conversation regarding what are the most likely situations disappointments can occur and how to deal with them. Now, before we get into the main topic, I'm going to have another episode of In My Words. Now, of course, I'm going to start with the fact that many people are not approving of the performance that President Trump is dealing with when it comes to the situation with the tariffs, when it comes to the situation with multiple issues. Poll after poll indicates, but the resection of the situation with the immigrant situation, there are more people disapproving than approving. And I see here we already have a guest. So, of course, let me just state the disclaimer. Uh, the views of those who appear on the panel are not necessarily those of the host of the channel. Any attempt to copy material without the consent of the host is prohibited. By appearing on the call, you waive your right to your image. Some of the views of people hold may be considered offensive to some viewers. If you do not like the content, you can block the channel. And now we're bringing our guest. Good evening, Gigi.
Hey, Jose, you just went live?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I just clicked in and saw you and clicked on. Hold on. I'll be right back, Jose. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Okay, bye.
No problem. Fine. But now I know people are going to say, well, Trump has only been in office for 2 months. So, of course, there's going to be some mistakes being made, and then he needs to be given some time to deal with the issues affecting this country. I get it. What makes it difficult is that when you make many promises and you don't even come close to deal with it, that does not leave a good taste in people's mouths. That's the reality. Also, when it comes to the situation with the tariffs, I mean, just talk about bringing it on, not bringing it on, bringing it on, not bringing it on, and then bringing on even more tariffs. Okay. That denotes that something that was not well thought of. Okay. Now, of course, we have to understand and we have to accept the fact that the country has spoken and people have voted for Trump. And the reality is this: he cannot be reelected again under the current, under the current setup, because, of course, a person cannot serve more than 2 terms as president. Of course, he could, anyway, he can try to amend that, but with the current state of politics here, I don't see that happening. But things can happen, things can change. Again, this is when I'm going to highlight when bad things happen. I'm also going to bring up the point when he does something right. Good evening, real odds and ends. Thank you very much for stopping by. I think this is your first time here. And of course, we have Dreaming of Reality. Good evening. Thank you very much for stopping by. Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay,
Hey,
welcome
Jose,
back.
my bad. Sorry, I had to do something real quick right when I got up here. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Hey, Dreamy.
Yes.
Who
And of
else is here?
course, and of
Hey,
course,
real.
yes. And of course, the link to her channel is in the description. Okay. So it's like the link in your channel is in the description as well. Gigi.
Thank you, Jose.
No problem. No problem. So, of course, before we get into the main topic, which is dealing with disappointments, I usually talk about things that are on my mind. So right now I'm talking about the fact that many people are not pleased with Trump's performance. Now
Okay.
I did indicate it. He's only been in office for 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But what makes it difficult is that during the campaign, um, he made a lot of promises, which seems at least superficially like he's backing off, and then dealing with the situation with the tariffs, bringing it back on, not bringing it on, delaying, and then imposing more tariffs. I mean, it implies that it gives the impression that these things were not well thought of. And I'm sure um, you have your point of view regarding the whole situation.
Um, well, yeah, I do think that Trump is the type of person that he's not scripted and he just says whatever comes to his mind at that moment. And I think a lot of the leaders around the world also realize that. I think that a lot of people freak out when they hear him say stuff, but I've heard a couple of different one of them say, you know how Trump is, he just whatever, he talks his shit basically. But I don't know what's going on so bad that there's panic. I don't know. I haven't seen anything, so I don't. What are they panicking about? The tariffs or whatever? That's going to bring us more money or what?
No, I think what's concerned is that the tariffs is going to make things more expensive.
Yeah, I mean, he did say they probably would initially or whatever, but it would, come back around. So I don't know. To be honest, it's only 2 months. I mean, at least we have somebody in there that's working. I mean, that's a welcome change as far as I'm concerned. So
Yeah.
I don't know
Well,
how everything's going to turn out.
well, one of the issues I do have with Trump is the the firing of thousands of federal municipal employees without due process. I mean, I'm not saying the government cannot fire people. But what I'm saying is, if they're going to fire people, that there is a thing called due process that needs to be followed.
Hmm.
Okay,
I get that.
okay. And there's been a lot of litigation regarding the fact that so many thousands of municipal employees have been terminated without due process.
Okay. I don't know. There's a lot of shit going on. There's people that's been here since they were little kids and they're getting deported. I mean, the truth of the matter is, just like on social media, people really don't give a shit until it affects them, you know?
Yeah. Well, look, I have been for quite a while been saying that each country has the right to deport people that enter the country illegally, or those who have entered the country legally but overstay their visas. I mean,
I supported I
people
support the
need to
deportation.
think about it more logically.
Yeah, I support the deportation of
Yeah,
certain individuals, but I'm not like
yeah.
extreme. Like if you've been here 30 years, and you're a productive member of society, then I don't know. There should be channels for you to be able to stay, I think.
Well, I mean, look, this is something that I have discussed. Now, I have a problem with people who've been illegal in this country for 20, 30 years and not try to do anything um,
Yeah, that's true.
le- to legalize their status. I mean, considering particularly here in New York, I mean, there's
Hmm.
like multiple resources that are available. First of all, you do have organizations like Catholic Charities that do try to help those individuals. And then you have organizations that do provide pro bono legal representation to help those to legalize their status.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lesson in all of it, not to be too comfortable in whatever situation that you're in. Always be aware of what pitfalls are around you or, what could happen, what could go wrong, and try to avoid that. A lot of these people just got comfortable, with the fact that they were just here and they were working and nobody was bothering them. But then, one day them boys gonna show up at your door.
Yeah. And for those who enter the country legally through a visa,
Hey, Don.
hey, Dynamano, thank you very much for stopping by. Look, it's your responsibility not to overstay your stay. And if you want to stay in longer, then do it legally by having your visa extended.
Multi said segregation making a comeback. That's what I had asked you about yesterday, and I still didn't even get a chance. I've had a busy day. Did you
You know
get a
what?
chance to
Okay,
follow up on
okay.
that?
I haven't seen anything. I'm not going to say I have seen anything definite. Um, Either way, I will have to. It's just that I've been busy myself, but
Yeah.
definitely, I'm definitely going to look into it
I did
because
do a quick search and I didn't see anything that was legit. I just saw YouTubers talking about it. I didn't see like a major news source saying that was the case. But like I said, I just looked briefly. I didn't really, deep dive. So I was just wondering.
yeah. I mean, look, this is the thing. If you're going to make an accusation, you need to have some facts to back it up. Otherwise, it's just pure speculation. Now, I get it. I mean, people love to hate Trump for whatever. But the thing is this: if you're going to accuse a person, bring facts.
Yeah. Hey Jose, do you remember Queen Mayat? She used to be around these spaces. Do you remember her? She had like a conservative channel, and
Hmm.
she was like supposed to be like this biracial, and she used to hang around Bossy. Yeah, it might have been before your
Uh,
time.
I don't think I don't think I actually recall watching her.
Well, these YouTube streets never disappoint with the circus, as you say. And apparently she's been exposed, and they're saying that, she's a trans, which doesn't mean much to you because you don't know who I'm talking about. But for the people who do, it's just like YouTube just never disappoints with the clownery. Okay.
Okay, well, look. I mean,
That was random,
I,
but
I don't like I don't
it's
like I don't like I don't like to comment on something that I don't know about because unlike some of these yahoos, I actually think before I speak. But
Mm,
that's that's neither here or there. Um, but a lot of the times people project an image and they're not. They're the complete opposite.
yeah.
I mean, well, but since we're going to be dealing with disappointments, I mean, look, disappointments can happen in many ways uh, or many circumstances.
That was a
I
major disappointment for a lot of the men on YouTube.
Well, you know what? I guess that's what happened when you think with your organ, so to speak, your tool, so to speak, and not with your brains.
Your tool.
And I gotta try to keep it relatively clean.
Yeah, let's keep it cute. Let's keep it cute.
Yeah, but I
So
mean,
what
a
are we
lot of
talking about again,
uh,
Jose?
how to deal with disappointments.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, basically, disappointments can occur basically because of certain outcomes that we have hoped to develop that did not develop, and that can happen in life. Like for example, you hope to pursue a particular um, love interest, and that person does not return the same feelings towards you. Also, sometimes certain relationships, unfortunately, end due to multiple reasons. And of course, there's always that disappointment. And of course, there's also disappointing when you are applying for a promotion and that promotion is given to somebody else. So those are times when you're going to feel disappointed. I'm sure you have dealt with your share of disappointments as well, not just here in these YouTube streets, but in life in general.
Yes, life is a roller coaster at times. Speaking of, my birthday is tomorrow, so at midnight is my birthday. So,
Well,
I'm,
let me just be the first one to say happy birthday to you. May
thank
the good
you.
May the good Lord continue to bless you and give you many years of health and wealth.
Thank
And
you, Jose. My point of bringing that up is that life can be full of disappointments, but you keep on going. You live to fight another day if you're blessed. And, what goes up comes down, and what goes down goes back up.
yeah,
You just keep going.
look, I mean, I have dealt with my share of disappointments. Okay, let me just give you a perfect example. I have never. I mean, think about it. Actually, being dumped on all days Christmas Day.
Thank you, Dreamy.
I mean, think about it. I go to Philadelphia uh, to visit my girlfriend, and then my girlfriend chose Christmas Day to dump me. Gigi, are you there? Hello. Now, in all fairness, I don't remember what was the saddest circumstances um, as far as getting dumped. Part of it, I'll say, part of it's my fault. Okay, because most people don't usually dump their loved ones on Christmas Day. Okay, and it looks like we just lost Gigi. Hopefully she'll pop back. But yeah, that was one disappointment, okay, that I have to deal with. And that's was the other disappointments as well. Um, as far as my career, now I have taken um, civil service exams trying to get a promotion because when you work in municipal government, you know, if you want to advance, usually that's done through. No. You know what? To be perfectly honest, Dreamy, I don't know. Basically, she couldn't see herself um, pursuing her relationship with me, so I'm gonna have to take some account, some responsibility regarding the breakup is concerned. Because look, I'm not gonna, you should know, I'm not the type of person that's gonna put the blame on 100% on the female. So I have to take some responsibility, and I have to take some accountability. Another example of disappointment was that, believe it or not, there was another lady that I really felt strong about. Um, Not only that she dumped me, but she broke my heart and married another dude. And it really brought a lot of trauma in my own personal life because you know you you express certain feelings regarding someone of the opposite sex, and then to have that person not um, to return those things, and I mean, it could be really disappointing. And why um, she did not express opposite, I don't know. But this is in the past, and I have I have recovered, and I have moved on. Now, the interesting thing that years later, No, she spoke about giving us a second chance, and realistically, I don't see that happening. First of all, I don't harbor any ill will towards towards her. It's just that it does that look. It does that. First of all, I'm a big believer in taking accountability. Okay, I I I am fully prepared to take accountability whenever I screw up. And this is one of the issues is that her inability to take accountability for her actions. Okay, that's a huge problem for me. Okay, because I believe in this. It's not good English, but I believe in the saying: when you mess up, fess up. Which means when you make a mistake, take accountability and learn from it. The fact that she waited 25 years after the fact, no, I cannot deal with I'm sorry, I cannot deal with someone that's not willing to take accountability. Okay. I've been around too many people in my lifetime that have failed to take accountability for their actions and really and look at the stage of my life. I cannot deal with someone that is not willing to take accountability. Okay, that's why I was someone else. Okay, who okay, well, yeah, it happens. It happens. That's you know what it happens. That's the problem when you hop on without charging your phone. But be so be as it is what it is. Um, so I'm with a lady who shares my thoughts, my philosophies, and unlike the other lady, she takes accountability for her actions. Okay, which is something um, that I appreciate. Jamie, this week, I'll make you a mod. It's just that unfortunately I cannot do it now, but I'll make you a mod uh, definitely this week. But now, of course, how we deal with disappointments, I mean, describes who we are as a person. Now, let me see. I'm going to try to see if I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try, and let's just see first of all. Okay. And I see Donna Mando has joined us on Instagram. Thank you very much, Donna Mando, for stopping by. Okay. And of course, a huge shout out to all those who are watching this stream on Instagram. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to share this. Okay. Just give me a moment. Okay. So I came across an article. Actually, it's talking about certain strategies, um, how to deal with disappointments. Uh, this is from the Victoria University out of Melbourne, Australia. So it's like dealing with disappointments. Some strategies to make lemonade out of lemons. Okay. It's likely that from time to time we might encounter disappointment. One of the things that comes with it at highs and lows or swings and roundabouts of life. Perhaps your exam results or the ATRA weren't what you hope for. Maybe you're certain that you'll get the job that you just slipped by, or someone close let you down. You might feel a mixture of things after receiving year 12, and it's okay if one of them is disappointment. So let's just so what we're gonna do is we're gonna deal with 5 ways to bounce back from a setback. Because basically that's what disappointments are, setbacks. Okay. And again, all of us have experienced it from time to time. And we will continue to exist as long as we are here on our earthly journey. So the first thing to think, try to do is be kind to yourself. It's important to address your disappointment, but first you need to take care of yourself, your mind and body. Don't try to figure out your next move or plan B immediately. Give yourself time to process. And this is advice from a psychologist. If I mispronounce these people's names, please forgive me. I don't want to mispronounce. Min advice. Look at yourself by exercising, eating, and sleeping well. Talk to someone you trust about your feelings. Don't be afraid to reach out to family or friends or even others. If it's a study advice you need of our friends and information, okay. Well, basically, reach out to friends and what have you. Number 2, surround yourself with good people. You may benefit from surrounding yourself with people who can help you affirm your efforts. Spend time with the people who encourage in a positive mindset so that you can focus on building on your strengths. Get your feel good flowing. See if you can get moving and motivated. You'd be amazed at how inspiring a little exercises, a good belly laugh, or spending some time on activity you can enjoy can be. Create a positive spiral of activities that release the happy endorphins in your brain and distribute it through your nervous system by exercising, spending time with loved ones. Engage in an activity that you enjoy and accomplishing an achievable task that you can feel proud. Number 4, take this as a learning experience. Think about how we learn to walk when we are little. One of the best ways to learn is through falling, getting up, and trying again. Once you figure out what you can learn from your disappointment, you can begin to set new goals and start down a new path. And of course, get back in the game. Now it's time to figure out your next move. Try a different tack is a great way to start, and doing it effectively is what we. Okay. So. What else can you do? Discover why no one sees you like you. Okay. Okay, so we got a pocket here. Okay, just give me a moment. Okay, so I mean, look, we're all going to deal with disappointments. Okay, but how we deal with this disappointments define who we are. Okay, first of all, it's not the end of the world if we're disappointed. Okay, again, disappointments will come. And sometimes, even though you plan for every conceivable situation, you had a great strategy. You thought things through and through. Unfortunately, things don't always turn out the way that you hope for. Okay, so what you do is you sit back, you recover from the disappointment, and you analyze. Okay, this is what happened, and then you have some options. One of them is just to, you know, plan a different strategy, things of that nature. Okay. I'm going to give you something that happened last week on my job. Okay. Now, I requested to take the afternoon off. And I see here we have Georgia. Well, goody. Oh, great. Okay, fine. Georgia, the topic for tonight is how to deal with disappointments. And that's something that happens um, in everybody's life. Okay. The issue is how to deal with those disappointments. Okay. Because that defines who we are. Okay. But let me just continue with my story. Now, last week I submitted a request to take the afternoon off, the whole afternoon, because I had some personal business to take care of. Now, if you are working in municipal government, you understand that there is a whole process, okay? And not everyone can get the same time all the time because of coverage. So, my supervisor approached me and she indicated that there was an issue with me taking the whole afternoon off because someone else was requested this for the same time as well. So, of course, the way I dealt with the disappointment was this. Okay, I cannot take the whole afternoon off. Maybe I can leave work an hour early. So, a little bit to my surprise, um, my supervisor said to me, "Well, you know what? I'm going to speak. I'm going to speak with our site manager and see if you can leave at 2 o'clock because, I understand. You wanted to leave early. Unfortunately, it was not possible for the time that you requested. So, okay. So while I didn't get half a day off, which I requested, I was able to leave 2.5 hours earlier. Okay, so I was disappointed, but I planned. But when I did how I dealt with it, okay, I could not get 4.5 hours of leave. Maybe I can get 1 hour of leave. Okay, it's a simple example, but you have to be able to look at things um, without the emotion and objective. Also, you have to take a look at the situation that you are dealing with. Okay. Now, I could have just as easily gotten upset and protested and things of that nature. I chose not to because, realistically speaking, um, it would not have given me the results that I was looking forward to. Which brings up another thing. When you're dealing with disappointments, sometimes emotion can get involved, and it could be hard to be able to look at things rationally. But that's something you need to do when you're dealing with disappointments. You need to analyze the situation, and don't look at it necessarily as a failure, but look at it as a learning experience. Okay, maybe you need to plan a little bit more thorough, or maybe you need to look at things in a different perspective. These are things, and of course, I've dealt with many disappointments in my life, and I will continue to deal with disappointments until the day where I would no longer be living. Okay, so let me just share. I'm going to share another article. Just give me a moment. Okay. But but for those who are just popping in right now, the topic for tonight is how to deal with disappointments. Okay, and it can happen in any area. Um, Generally speaking, disappointments can occur. Um, Sometimes through lack of planning, or sometimes through proper planning, but um, we cannot avoid certain unexpected situations which may occur. Now I'm going to share my screen, hopefully. So this is the title of the article is "A Psychologist's Advice on How to Deal with Disappointment." Okay, and I see it's a person here based on the telephone number. Disappointment is a part of life that comes when your hope or expectations aren't met. We all feel disappointment at times in our relationships, in other people, and in ourselves. It's not an easy feeling to sit with, but there are healthy and unhealthy ways to cope with this unavoidable emotion. For some people, it's tempting to handle disappointments by avoiding it altogether. One way to do this is not to have expectations in the first place, but this is impossible. Imagine trying to have no thoughts or ideas about something we should be or might go. Living life without having expectations isn't realistic. Also, expectations are helpful for us in many ways. So, how can we cope with the unpleasantness of disappointment that is sure to come up with? Here are some healthy ways to deal with disappointment. Understanding the disappointment and validating it. Acknowledge that you are experiencing disappointment. It's tempting to ignore, minimize, or distract yourself from unpleasant feelings, but this can actually make the feelings more of a problem over time. Instead, acknowledge and name your feeling. Even doing this out loud can help you cope in a healthy way. Validating our emotions means accepting that they are present and remembering it's okay to have those feelings. Emotions always happen for a reason. Tolerating and riding the wave of disappointment. Have you ever tried to make an emotion just go away? or try creating an emotion so you don't have. Either way, you're more it's likely to know that things don't work that way. Once we feel an emotion, that emotion is there until, well, it fades or passes. In fact, all emotions, including disappointment, pass or fade with time. This happens regardless of how upsetting or uncomfortable they are at first. Sometimes this happens more quickly than others, and some feelings are intense while others are less so. But they all fade with time. So part of how to coping with disappointment is remind yourself that disappointment is like a wave. It rides it until it passes. Again, being kind towards yourself and validating the feeling can help you to ride out the wave of disappointment. Gaining support from others can also be helpful. Sometimes focusing your emotion, energies, or attention or something else meaningful can help you lessen the intensity of the feeling. If you already acknowledge and validated your feelings of disappointment, then distracting yourself can be a helpful coping strategy to get through the wave. Self-care strategies like going for a walk, listening to music, or watching a television show you enjoy can help you distract you in a healthy way. Let me just check and see if there's anybody. Okay. Checking expectations and adjusting to them to match reality. Sometimes adjusting expectations is the best way to cope with disappointment. If an expectation is rigid or inflexible or doesn't line up with reality, it's easier to feel disappointed. Words like should, always, and never are sometimes signs that the expectation might be unrealistic or too rigid. For example, if you believe you should never try something new more than once to learn it, or that people should always reply to your text messages within 5 minutes, you may frequently feel disappointed. In a case like this, it's helpful to soften and realign your expectations and make them more realistic. Focus on the bigger picture, expecting and accepting disappointment in life. Another helpful way to deal with disappointment is remembering that it's simply part of life. There is no way to avoid it. Remember, disappointment is a feeling that comes up around expectations that aren't met. So if you expect to have a life free of disappointment, you might find yourself disappointed. Disappointment in a relationship. Disappointment can come up in any meaningful relationship, whether it's a romantic fellowship relationship, a friendship, or a family member, or even a relationship that comes with every relationship comes with expectation. Valuing a relationship and having expectations for that relationship go hand in hand. Disappointment in yourself. Feeling disappointed in yourself is uncomfortable. Sadness and guilt tend to come up when you feel disappointed in yourself. We all have many expectations we hold to ourselves, how we should act, feel, and think, what we should do with our time and energy, so our abilities and traits you should have, and so on. Given these expectations, easy to see why feeling disappointed in yourself is near universal experience. And as an example, when people disappoint you, just as feeling disappointed in yourself, it's inevitable to feel disappointed in others sometimes too. Others have their own ideas, feelings, desires, and challenges, so there's no way there will always meet the expectation you have with them. When you feel disappointed in someone, it's also common to feel frustrated with something or even angry. And there's an example here. Now, this is I'm going to talk about when disappointment builds resentment. Experiencing disappointment is natural. If you find it hard to manage your expectations in a healthy way, or experience disappointment over and over, disappointment can turn into resentment. Resentment can also be like bitterness or anger. If you repeatedly push away, feelings of disappointment, resentment can build and displace. When disappointment circumstances happen, you might consider using radical acceptance to help you acknowledge the situation and work to move forward. Like any unpleasant emotion, you might find yourself wishing disappointment or resentment would go away. But experiencing emotions is crucial to help you to process and move through. This can be slightly challenging sometimes, but very difficult at other times. Sometimes people find it that difficult experiences or disappointment or resentment leading to use substances like alcohol or drugs to numb the feelings. If you find yourself using substances to cope with unpleasant emotions, consider talking to a therapist. So summing up, whether you feel any disappointment in a relationship, in others, or in yourself, there's various healthy ways that you can deal with this unpleasant emotion. Acknowledging disappointment by naming it and validating it is a good place to start. Validation can help you ride the wave of disappointment, which can pass along with time. Getting support from others and distracting yourself are also helpful ways to tolerate feelings of disappointment while they persist. Making your expectations more flexible and realistic can also help lessen the discomfort of disappointment. Lastly, it's healthy to remember and accept that disappointment is a part of life and we all experience it sometimes. And we're going to park it here. Okay. Excuse me just one moment. Okay. So basically, there are ways to deal with disappointment. Okay. And also, one thing we need to do is we need to acknowledge the fact that we do feel disappointed. We need to acknowledge the feeling. Okay. Sometimes people can try to hide those feelings, and what it does is that those feelings of disappointment can create resentment. Okay. And sometimes that resentment can lead to friendships being damaged, relationships being damaged, and marriages being damaged when you allow those disappointments to fester, okay, into resentments. The reality is this: we're all going to be disappointed from time to time. Either people are going to disappoint you, or you're going to disappoint them. Okay. And you know what? It's again, there's no problem dealing with disappointments. It's how you deal with them. That's the key issue. And I don't know about you, but I prefer to look at disappointment in this fashion. Okay. It's an opportunity to look back and to reflect, okay, what happened? And if you can, trying to see the logic, see why the results materialize as they did. Maybe I didn't properly plan for something, or maybe I planned for something and something unexpectedly occurs. Okay, we are all going to be disappointed from time to time. That's the reality. And no. Also, I've been disappointed dealing with some of these content creators. Okay, I've been disappointed due to the fact that some of them violated my trust. Some of them have shown disrespect towards me. Some of them took me took took me for granted. Took took my friendship, took my interest for granted. Okay. Now, of course, the temptation is to just basically to withdraw and not to get involved with anybody. But that's not the solution. Okay. However, it can be a learning experience once you're able to rationalize and think about it. And once you're able to do that, you will get past the disappointment. Okay. And again, disappointment will come. Okay. And it comes in many ways and in many forms. It's how we deal with it that will determine the type of person we are. And unfortunately, I have known people that have never been able to deal with disappointments very well. And for some of those people, um, disappointments have become resentments. Some of them became bitter, and some of them had infected their mindset in such a way that they may not be willing um, to try new things um, out of fear. Okay. Good evening, Irby. Thank you very much for stopping by. So the topic has been how to deal with disappointments. Okay. So what I did was I describe how disappointments occur. Okay. And there's also some strategies how to deal with disappointments. The fact of the matter is, we're all going to be disappointed uh, from time to time. People are going to disappoint us, and there's going to be times that we're going to disappoint others. That's the reality. Okay. However, it's how we deal with the disappointments. Are we able to, to get by and either prepare better or have a different perspective? So now I have been talking for almost an hour. Okay, so again, let me just state that the link to join the panel has been pinned. Oh, Irby, I don't know if you're aware, but tomorrow is Gigi's birthday. So um, let's all wish our friend Goldest Goddess happy birthday. Okay. Of course, I'm not going to ask her age because that's considered inappropriate. Okay. However, I do hope that, whatever she does tomorrow on her birthday, that she'll get a lot of enjoyment. Most likely, she'll spend it with her husband and her children. Okay. So now, why I'm even discussing this topic? Because it happens. Now, what I'm doing this week, whenever I do my lives, so I'm gonna be including the link to Gigi's channel as well as Drainey's channel as well. Um, on the description, because let's keep it real. When you have a new channel, um, it takes a while for the algorithm to pick up, and sometimes it can be hard for other people to try to locate new channels. So that's why when you have people like myself, which okay, which are a little bit more known, you know, we can do what we can um, to help create, awareness of their channels and encourage people to subscribe. And again, huge shout out to the people who are joining now. Okay. Well, and of course, a huge shout out to all those who are watching on Instagram, and a huge shout out to all those watching from the clouds. Okay. So, Irby, if you're still watching, I'm just curious, what's some of the ways that you have dealt with disappointments? I don't know if you wish to enter that in the chat. If you want to, great. If you don't want to, I get it. Okay. But the fact of the matter is, we're all going to deal with disappointments. I dealt with them, and basically, I just try to take it as a learning experience, as far as perhaps I need to rethink certain things or analyze certain things or plan things a little bit differently. Okay. But the fact of the matter is, no planning in the world can take away the fact that we're all going to have disappointments, because there are going to be certain things that we did not see happening occur. That is reality. So I know Miss Mo is on tonight, and I think Miss Elite as well. So that kind of explains why it's a little bit quiet in the chat, but it's okay. The show must go on. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Look, let me tell you something. When you think about it, life is very short. If you are fortunate, and if you take proper care of yourself, you'll be around for 70 to 80 years. Some people manage to live into their 90s. And to those people, they're truly blessed, because they actually live longer than what is expected. Okay. Because again, people usually live into their 70s or 80s. So life is too short to worry about things that you have absolutely, positively no control. Okay. So you just learn how to deal with disappointments, and you move on. But I will state this: if you are unable to move on with disappointments for whatever reason, do yourself a favor and seek therapy. Okay? Because what happens is, for those people who are unable to get past disappointments, it can become resentment, and it can really, really bring some psychological harm. And what it would do is, it can damage your perspective. That's true. That's true. Look, you'd be surprised taking a walk. How much that will help you to clear your mind. I mean, look, believe it or not, when I'm at my job, I'll take several walks along the floor. Why? Because first of all, because basically the type of okay. Well, I'm not going to go into details regarding the type of work I do because um, what I will say is that I sit behind a computer all day, so I'm constantly taking a look at information and things of that nature, and processing and things of that nature. So when you sit behind a computer all day, um, your legs become a little stiff, and it gets a little bit harder to get up when you do decide to walk, get up. Which is why the reason why I take several walks, and it does help. It does help you to clear your mind. Also, walking is a very good form of exercise because you're moving your legs and you're moving your arms. Okay, and it's easy. Anyone can walk. Okay, unless you're like someone that weighs like 800 pounds and what have you. But otherwise, do yourself a favor. Take several walks. Okay, and so that way it can clear your mind uh, regarding how you deal with the disappointments. So I think I've said my piece. Now, um, this coming Tuesday, I'm going to be dealing with I have discussed this topic before, but I'm going to be talking about how to deal with haters. That's something we all going to have to deal with. Okay, we have people that either have issues with who we are, they have issues with our content, or they have issues with the people that we choose to associate with. So I'm going to give you my thoughts of why people are haters and how to deal with it. Okay, because we're all going to have people that we're not necessarily their cup of tea. And sometimes, unfortunately, the haters don't even know why they hate. They just hate because, I don't know, because they don't like the way we look, they don't like the way we talk, they don't like what we talk about, they don't like the people that we hang out with. And and I have said this before, and I'm going to say it again. If you're cool with me, I'm cool with you. Okay. But in any case, again, a huge shout out to all those who continue to support this platform. I mean, again, I must stress this again. The reason why I have the growth that I have is because of people who support this channel. You every week you watch my shorts, you watch my content, and I really do appreciate. So, in summary, um, as I stated, we all deal with disappointments. We all have disappointments. The issue is how to deal with it. And hopefully, I gave you some information how to deal with disappointments in a healthy way. So, in any case, like I said, I will be live um, Tuesday at 9:30, and I'm going to be doing my stream on open discussion this Thursday. Usually, I do it on a Friday. It's just that I'm going to be going out on Friday. So that's the reason why I'm going to have open discussion. And of course, you have an opportunity to opine. So, so with that being said, I'm going to close the same way that I always close, meaning that We must do everything possible to avoid the presence of the mentally and intellectually challenged, because if we fail to do so, we'll be infected by their stupidity and massive insanity. This has been another episode of Uncommon Sense with Hossein Negron saying good night, take care, and learn how to deal with disappointments in a constructive way. And peace.